Streaming on Twitch. Hello, Twitchers, Twitchies, Twitchers, Twitch people. I don't know. Streaming on Facebook. Hello, Facebook friends. Woo, 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 woo. And now we are streaming on YouTube. Tubers. Yeah. Tubers have the cool
Tubers are
name.
delicious.
Tubers. Is that edible? What is that? I do not know.
Potatoes and no, tubers are
Oh,
like sweet potatoes.
potatoes and turnips and the like.
Well, specifically like sweet
Got
potatoes.
it. Oh, you don't like the turnips? Oh my gosh, I already couldn't remember the
No,
name.
I like them, but I'm just not sure if they are tubers
I don't
specifically.
know. So, welcome back everyone to your favorite dojo, where the awesome man Hunter, that
That's
is
me.
her. Yep. And the awesome Alley Cross, that is me. I can't even remember the spiel this week. Talk shop, chops, and kiops,
Hi.
and help you on your way to black belt excellence in your
And
writing
publishing.
and
Yep.
publishing journey. Woohoo! I don't know why. I was fine. I felt totally prepared. And then the moment I
I,
started talking, I couldn't remember anything.
I threw you for a loop when I started talking about the tubers.
Welcome to my brain, which, most of the time I can laugh at my brain and just how special she is because sometimes what she throws up is just plain fun. Actually, most of the time. Like I think I've told you, I pretty much have a song in my head 24/7. So like if I'm standing around or I'm staring off into space, you might think I'm book dreaming like we talked about in our previous episode. But more likely than not, I'm singing a song in my head. And fun fact, you can't think about anything else if you're thinking about a song. So that goes to show, just what kind of real estate we're working with up here.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's one way to kind of get a hold of your brain. Like if you need to quiet your mind, just start singing a song in your head.
Oh, so I
Because
guess
if
I'm
it's always
spending more time now. I got to figure out how to, once I've calmed my mind, how to get out of the music. I don't know. So, so
I just
sorry.
I just started thinking Veggie Tales.
Oh gosh. See, my boys, we did not I don't think I've ever seen a single episode of Veggie Tales. So, I managed to avoid that. We're just that much older. So, we are starting late today. Apologies.
Sorry,
And
it's my fault.
Anne got stuck in traffic and is getting parked and such. So she
Yeah,
said, "Go ahead and start and do the intro and stuff." And by the time
like I'll still talk. I can't look at the camera
it's kind of
or we
weird
will die.
because you have your virtual background on. So
Yeah,
so every time you move, like we get this like it's like a kaleidoscope of Anne's. You know how like because every time you sometimes you move and then we get your face in some weird geometric pattern with purple looking karate outfits sort of
gotcha.
merged in there. It's fun. It's good times. I mean, we're talking about whacked out brains. So if somebody tuned in and saw that, they would be like, I am home.
Like sweet, I'm tripping with them.
Yep. So she has parked. So today we are talking about, ooh, darn it. Okay. Yeah. I want to pull up the title that she gave it because it's not about luck. This is about how to manage your time and research and other sorts of fun things. That was my ad. To be more productive and successful in your author career.
Ah!
So take it away, Anne.
Okay, so yeah, we just had St. Patrick's. How was your St. Patrick's? Allie, were you able to celebrate your heritage? Like more of the pagan heritage rather than the Catholic guy driving out the pagans?
Actually, um, I had a kind of interesting experience on St. Patrick's Day. I on Saturday, I kept thinking about about a way that I could talk to my wee primary children at Sunday school about St. Patrick's Day. And I had this whole thing in my mind. I'm doing it. I can't do it. I did all Sunday, as I promised. I did it all with an Irish accent, but I have to like warm myself up. And I didn't do that today. So pardon.
Jamie Max, you have to warm yourself up.
I'm just gonna be Canadian American for right now.
Okay.
So, anyways, but then I thought, no, 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 we don't really have time for me to talk about St. Patrick's Day to these wee children. But then in in during the sacrament, I thought I should just double check about St. Patrick because I knew what I thought I knew, but I thought I should maybe get some facts. And then I thought, why am I doing that? That's stupid. And I put my phone away because I don't have any time to talk about that. And then we get to Sunday school, and it turns out that one of our little children who was supposed to give the talk could not. So we had this extra space of time. So I ended up talking to the children about St. Patrick's Day and what it meant, like what was the difference between, the silly fun things. And of course I gave a chocolate kiss to everyone because I'm
Aw.
Irish adjacent. And but we talked about the real Patrick and why he became and what he had to do. So it was not about driving the snakes out. Last week I said rats. It was snakes. Um, but it was about the shamrock. And because
Oh yeah,
Patrick,
because Shamrock is like the Holy Trinity.
yep, exactly. And I was so impressed with my little children because several of them had been already taught that by their parents. And
Oh,
I thought
nice.
that was very cool. And I actually have been meaning, but I haven't gone to find out where the four-leaf clover came in, like why that was lucky. Do you know?
I don't.
Oh.
We will
The
find
only
answers and get back next week on it.
the only thing I do know is that I literally spent hours as a children in our there was a clover field on my way home from school, and would literally just sit in there looking and looking and looking for a four-leaf clover. I did find some, um, but if any of you have been in a clover field, it's like grass. Like that's how thick and how much of it. And identifying one little clover, like it was very tedious work. It's like looking for a specific blade of grass in a lawn of grass. But, that's how I passed many hours in my childhood, was looking for that rare clover. So I told you,
Nice.
not very many, like, it's not very exciting in my head. Or it really is. And that's why I'm totally fine to sit in a clover field for hours because I'm fully entertained in my mind. Let's go with that one. I like that one better. But
I'm
otherwise,
100% I'm 100% convinced I'm going to catch a leprechaun in that field.
there
You
you
will
go.
not even
It
believe.
could happen and it could be you. Um, Other than that, I was completely lame and didn't have my life organized, and we didn't have soda bread um, or corned beef sandwiches or anything. So there you go. How about
We got,
you? I
we
know
got the
you
soda
ate a
bread.
lot of good food, so tell me.
Well, I don't know about a lot. I just the amount that I ate got my stomach upset.
Oops.
I did buy soda bread that I've been munching on for several days, and I keep telling my family, "Would you please eat this before I eat the whole loaf?" Because I'm not supposed to have it because of my diabetes. But it's
Right.
so good. We had corned beef and which was just perfect. We like slow cooked it all day.
Hmm.
And potatoes, but I gave my potato to my husband.
We don't really love corned beef just like as a meat side, whatever, but we really love like corned beef hash and
Yeah.
corned beef sandwiches and stuff. So usually I will make a hash on with soda bread on I have Easter on the brain now on St. Patrick's Day. But like I said, it was a complete fail. So, but we had
I,
fun. I had fun in primary. My little kids enjoy my Irish accent, so at least I fooled them.
I keep wanting to make O'Cannon, but I never get to it.
So. Ah, and I'm too
Okay,
chicken to
now
try many of the potato dishes that my family, I'm sure, lived on since they came over to the States during the potato famine. So you know, for the last like 10 years of their life before they left Ireland, like the only things that could grow was the occasional potato.
yeah,
And
they got
every
very creative.
and I'm too chicken to try those things. I guess I don't love my ancestors quite that much. I don't know. I do love them. I love them. Okay. And
Okay, on subject now.
yes.
Long diversion. So we're talking about how being successful in writing and publishing isn't about luck. A lot of people are like, oh man, they're so lucky. They got this contract or whatever, or their sales are going really well. When actually, excuse me, it's prep work, really. It's figuring out what authors are in your genre, what are they doing, what are the tropes in that genre. This is pretty common knowledge about researching your genre that you're going to write in. And then once you get a handle on the top selling books and what they've got going on, you figure out what's not being written. I always think of the big robot from the movie Robots with Ewan
Okay,
McGregor,
yeah. Yeah.
and he says, "See a need, fill a need."
Yeah.
So I always think of that when I think of, okay, I want to write in this genre. What can I write? Oh, well, they're not really covering this angle. Okay, kind of like I don't know if you've seen Damsel yet, Ellie.
Oh my gosh, I loved it.
Yes,
I thought
but
it
it
was
had such a
awesome.
plot twist, right, at the
Yeah.
end.
Yep.
And the book also has its own plot twist. Like it kind of follows it up to that point,
Uh-huh.
and then it twists it again.
Oh, interesting.
So it's about doing your research in advance, making sure you've got a strategy as you head forward into your book, writing it. Make notes about um, what you're writing, your genre, what's popular, what tropes. Um, and you want things to be like consistently popular, so you're not just writing
Hitting
on
a
the back of,
fad.
yeah, you want to do you know, that's kind of like where stick with what you know comes in, because you get more of the classic time honored tropes, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And now it is your turn to comment.
Okay. So let's talk about so that's research.
Yeah.
Um, but let's
Oh,
back up.
well,
Back up.
when we're backing up.
Yeah, so let's back up and talk about all the pieces
Okay.
that contribute to success. Or like, in this way. So, what do you think? I mean, research, it might start with research, but you tell me, what do you think is the first step to having a successful author career?
I think you got to have the idea first. You got to love the genre that you're going to write in. Otherwise, writing isn't going to be fun at all, ever. I mean, it's pretty like uh, at times while you're in the throes of it, but if it's a genre that you love, and well, you're gonna get through it a lot easier.
Hmm.
So
I mean,
it
that's
starts with
what
the
we talk
idea.
about. That's what we talk about a lot on my Right for Joy show. Sorry, got to put in a plug. Right for
Yes,
Joy.
do
Woo!
it.
Um, because as I often say, writing is a slog. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, there are certainly brilliant moments where your characters are literally sitting beside you, you're having a conversation, and you are dictating their
Yeah,
story. That
you
is,
were in the zone.
yeah, but
There's
some
also those times
sometimes
when
I've
you're,
written a whole book without ever finding the zone. And sometimes
oh,
that's what it requires, is for you to write, even when it's
it's
not
not
that
fun.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah. I just got to thinking about Atreyu in the what is it, the Swamp of Despair in Neverending Story, where he's sitting
Uh-huh.
with the turtle, and you get to those drier points where you're really struggling and slogging through all that mud,
Yeah.
and the turtle's like, "We do not care if we even care."
And that's why you have to love what you're doing and love
Yes.
the story that you're telling in order to keep going during those dark moments, the swamp of
Hmm.
despair.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to love the story you're telling and have like a true desire to want to write it. Like,
Yeah.
this is not for the faint-hearted, in other
No.
words. What's
There's
next?
a there's a reason, was it I think it's Hemingway that said write drunk, edit sober.
Oh, too bad that's not an option for you and
That's
I.
take a load of Dr. Peppers,
That's true. I'm drunk on Diet Coke.
man. More so delicious for everybody.
For sure. I definitely need a Viking to get me through sometimes
Mm,
as she drinks her straight up
right.
water.
Good. Nice water. Good.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and okay, now I'm on a tangent. The last several times I've gone to So Delicious, they do not have the ingredients to make my El Doctoro, and I have the sad.
Oh, sadness. How dare they? That's offensive.
Like multiple locations are out of horchata, and this
Yeah,
is an abomination.
that is not right. I am indignant on your behalf.
Thank you. Okay,
So, you
back
have a
back to the game plan.
story that you want to write. So then does the research come in?
Yeah, I think that's when you need to start researching. Is my idea going to work? How can I put a spin on it? Which is what another episode we went through, like how can we put spins on original ideas? Because there are no more original ideas in the world, only original ways to tell them.
Right. I
So
have
I
to
do think
throw
we
a
need to
flag on the play. Sorry, I'm mixing metaphors now with
hang on
karate and
1 second.
football.
So
Ah,
so like I said, see a need, fill a need. Go.
okay. But I wanted to just say, if by chance you're listening to this show and you are a brand new writer, don't do any like just write. Just write the story because that's a skill you need to learn and know how to do.
Yep,
So, and I wouldn't want anything to get in your way, like to discourage you from writing that story. So,
absolutely.
just dive in and write. Like, don't worry
Right
about
for
rules
joy.
or
Right for
anything.
joy. Yep.
Yes, just write for joy.
Um, yeah, for
This is more
definitely.
for like when we talk about research and stuff. I mean, certainly if you're a more intellectual person, um, then the research will probably appeal to you and be part of your like ramp up to writing. But for really, we're thinking more of more. I can't even say really seasoned writers, but writers who want to enter the market with the best, putting their book in the best position as possible.
Right.
Um, you are totally okay if you want to just write a story and throw it up there. Go for it. But don't be surprised if it doesn't sell.
Yeah.
because
Or you can put it on places like Wattpad and
true.
other
Yeah.
similar sites where you can get feedback from people
Yeah.
who are just
So
reading it.
if you want to sell, then research it really is an essential part because you need to know like you need to know you're hitting your genre right with the tropes and things that are popular and desirable in your genre. You need to know that you're even titling the book right and then putting the right you can't do categories anymore, but keywords or whatever all. Okay. So we've done our we have a story idea and we've done our research. What's
Right.
next?
I just wanted to say I had a memory of being at a story conference, and Christy Pinkston, who is a romance author and very good editor, she was saying that someone she had coached or had worked for, they were complaining about doing research. Like they hated it, they can't be bothered, yada, yada, yada. And when I think of research, I think of what I'm writing and what I'm excited about. And research, if you can reframe your mind into this is my opportunity to completely geek out, it's going to be a lot more fun.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
amazing
So
advice.
if you're not nerding out over your subject and getting excited, then you're not doing research correctly.
That's awesome advice. Yeah, because
So
you should be researching like your favorite authors or the your favorite authors in like and your favorite books in the genre of the story you're wanting to tell. So um that should be fun, right? You get like blah blah blah. Sorry.
yeah. So so
That's as far as that train went.
one of my examples is for the equestrian series I write. I actually researched why jockeys rode a different way in the 40s than they do in modern day. And there's an entire book about the aerodynamics of race riding. I mean, how can you not nerd out? Like, this is so cool.
Right?
So, yeah,
I
definitely look into things that you're passionate about and how you can work them into your story.
That's such a great idea because if you are not if you hate talking or reading about new science fiction, not science fiction but like new whatever NASA is doing or inventions, and you want to write a sci-fi book, you might not super enjoy spending a lot of time figuring out how this specific spaceship that you envision could plausibly work. Because science fiction fans want they enjoy whatever the story is, but they want
They want the
um
details.
they want to think that
And
your story is plausible.
they will nail you if you don't get it right. That is true for every genre out there.
You're probably right. Except possibly like maybe urban fantasy or whatever, where readers are just going with you. But like if you're writing equestrian, oh my gosh, like
Yeah,
you
horse
better
girls are the
know
worst.
horse stuff or else. And science fiction is the same. Like if you write something that everyone, except for you, apparently, know could never work, they're like you'll get more negative reviews than positive reviews just because people love to complain and whatever it is you'll always like anyway. So do
So
yourself a
that
favor and write something that you actually won't mind geeking out on
right.
and spending
Even
some research time.
even if you're doing fantasy, your characters are inevitably going to go on a long journey with bread and cheese. You need to tell your reader what kind. Okay, everybody wants to know what kind. So this is my nerd out on cheese. I love cheese. I think the whole process is fascinating because the taste of the cheese comes from the region is named for. That all boils down to like the rainfall and how it affects the pH of the soil and how that affects how the grass grows and how the cows digest it and all of this stuff. It's so interesting and how they age it. So you really need to know like each region, even if you're making up regions and different climates and um maybe you've got like an iron brew that they add to the cheese at some point. That's how they make port wine cheese, you know. Uh, but you have to take it into consideration of how that's going to affect the taste and the texture and all that fun stuff.
That's a really good point. I read a lot of fantasy that feels like it's built on, you know, UK medieval times, right? But like if you were in Ireland or Scotland and probably Britain, it wasn't bread and cheese. They were packing around meat pies.
Yep.
And so, but I have never read a single fantasy book ever, anytime where they had meat pies. But that's what people were taking in their lunch boxes and whatever all. So at least for part of the journey, they would have some meat
Oh yeah.
pies.
Also, like look at like the time period because that also affects what your characters are going to be eating. For example, like Victorian times, meat pies. Okay. Older than that, you've got like more basic stuff.
Well, meat pies were eaten further back.
Okay.
But, anyways, all right. So you have to, okay, so we have, you have your story idea and it's something you're excited to write about. And then you're going to research.
Yep.
Then what do we need to do to, for like best practices for
I think
successful career
I think
or
it's
books?
prudent to also start developing the world your characters are going to exist in, and to know the names of the regions and any plants that are unique to your story. If you're going with like a sci-fi or a fantasy, if it's more modern, then you need to know, especially if it's set like in the United States or any country in the world, you need to know the region and what's going on around that region, and how that can affect the magic systems or politics or whatever in your story.
What if you have a type of magic that sputters out in the rain
Yeah,
and then they travel
and you
through a
and
place
you
like Portland?
Washington, yeah,
Yeah, you know,
Seattle,
like that would be kind of funny.
Scotland. Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
Scotland.
like what would happen then? Okay, so we've talked about research, but there's more beyond research.
Yeah, world
You,
development. I was
we already,
kind of
that to me, that's research, I
okay.
guess.
Well, it should be mentioned.
Okay, so beyond research, what are good practices for being successful?
To make a um time slot to write every day and to stick to it. That's the biggest part. Even if it's 10 minutes, okay, like 10 minutes at 8 o'clock, I'm going to write. And whatever I write, that is what I'm proud of. And I
Yep,
achieved it for the day.
good
But you
job.
do it, you do it, you set a schedule and you stick to that schedule.
Yep. Um, there, I can't remember. It may have been Ray Bradbury who told this story, but someone out there once said something that I heard. And it was a story of a guy who wanted to write a book. And so all he had available to write a book was 15 minutes a day. And he's writing longhand. This is well before typewriters and such. So he would get up a few minutes early and write before work every day. And he had to leave at that specific time. He couldn't keep going. He would leave even like in mid sentence and just and then not be back at it until the next day. But he wrote the book. The book got finished 15 minutes a day. And I actually learned from that. Well, we're not talking about that now, but I learned one of my favorite techniques for ensuring that I will come back to write the next day. And that
Tell me.
is, I've already told you before,
Really?
but I have. And it's, I will leave mid story, mid chapter, mid scene, if my time is up or I've reached my word count, whatever. Because, and I'll like leave a little note for myself. This is what I thought was happening next. But what it does for me is it keeps me excited. I still know what's going to happen because I was in the middle of it. So I'm still thinking of the scene and it's playing out, but I'm also it gives me time to sort of write ahead a bit. So and the next day when I show up to write, I don't have to go back and read anything because it's almost like I've been living in it since I wrote last. And
Nice.
so I can pick up right where I am. And because I've been sort of dreaming ahead, I know where it's going. When I used to write to exhaustion, like when I had nothing left, I didn't know what was supposed to happen next. It almost built a type of panic in me so that because
Maybe
I
that's
didn't
my problem.
so that because I didn't know what was supposed to happen. So then when I would show up to write, I would be like,
Panic. Deer in the
uh,
headlights.
got nothing. Yeah. And so I would read back, and hope that it would like trigger whatever. That didn't work for me. What did work for me, and it was inspired from this story, was leaving when I was still not maybe when I was hot, like super in the flow,
Yeah.
but definitely when I still was in the story and could see some more story pavement laid out ahead of me because between the 24 hours or however many hours between writing sessions, I would lay more story pavers in my mind so that when I showed up, I could just write. I was hot the whole time because it was still fresh. It felt like I was still in it. So, but the showing up every day or on a regular schedule, like people
Yep.
get hung up on the every day, like, oh my
Doesn't have
gosh,
to
I
be every day.
can't write every day. Therefore, what am I going to do? I can't write a book. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Writing every day
Get it out.
works.
Get that out of your head.
Yeah, it works for most people, and it's just like exercise or any other new habit you want to develop. The more often and regularly you do it, the more likely it's going to stick. Um, but it can be every other day or only on Saturdays or only on the weekends that your husband has the kids or whatever it is. Just make sure it's your schedule and you are faithful to it. It's your
Yep.
job. If you want to sell a book, you want to be a professional writer, it is a job. And
Yep.
it's
You need
a
to treat it like one.
yeah, and unfortunately, it's a job you have to intern at for a while, like while you're writing and everything else, before you're going to make money at it. So you might as well start practicing now the skills it's going to take because if your first book does take off or your second or third or wherever it fits, but you have to be prepared because if you want to be successful and you have done all the success making things, then you might be successful. In which case, what's the best thing to do? And
Uh, be prepared.
and have another book.
There you go.
Like
Okay.
write and
Yeah. I was
publish
just
another
thinking.
book. She was
I
thinking
was
of other
thinking
stuff.
that, like, I was thinking, one, you don't have to publish the first book you write,
Right?
or the second, or
Probably
the
for most
third.
of us, please don't. Because usually our
And
first
then,
book is not actually the
and then, also, before you publish your first your first one after you've written, a ton.
Some
Um,
practice books.
yeah, have several books ready to go before you ever publish so that you've got something to build momentum on already.
One of the most successful authors I know who still she still sort of stays in the small author category in that she's not like a household name or whatever, but she's extremely successful. And part of the reason why it's you look at her and you go, well, why is she so successful when I wrote a book that was just as good or better? Be, the whining, excuse the whining voice, that was mine. You may have your own whiny voice, but we've all said something similar because that's just the nature of art. Um, but she had written, not just written, but she had ready to publish a whole like 7 book series before she ever
Wow.
published book one. So
Nice.
her fans, she was, so that this is another excellent step on the road to being a successful author, is fairly quickly producing book two, book three, book four. Um,
And originally when you first start out, you're like, how are they writing that fast and releasing that fast? Like it took me 2 years to write this one book. It's because they spent the last 10 years writing those 5, 6 books.
yeah,
And then they
it's
just
there are
rapidly,
there are people who are writing and publishing literally brand new books like every 6 weeks.
yeah, I
And
can name a couple authors that
yeah,
they write like 50,000 words a week. I can't fathom. Yeah.
well, I mean,
Power to them, but that's,
we've both been to writing retreats where like it is possible, but it's not the average person. So the average person has like 1 to 2 or 3 books a year if they're like working full time, practically
yeah.
writing books. Um, but anyways, like you can't just look at someone who's being super successful and think, well, why aren't I? Because it could be they're like my friend, our friend. It's Melissa McShane that I'm thinking of, um, who writes her entire series before she ever publishes book one. So
Nice.
while book one was out and book two and three were coming out like every 2 or 3 months, she had a whole year plus to be writing and preparing her next series.
Yeah.
So what was amazing about that process is that there was always another Melissa McShane book to go to. That she ensured that by being completely dedicated to her plan of writing the series before publishing it. And every time she did that, and she's done like she has over 60 books out. That's an old count, I think. Um, but she could do that because she'd already written the first 5 or 6 books, which gave her a year or more to
Yeah.
write the next series, which gave her another year or two to write the next series. But it means that those first fans that picked up the first book never had to get distracted by another author. They just kept reading Melissa's book. Of course they were reading other books, but you get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like they
They're
they
not
didn't.
waiting on other authors. They're because they don't have to wait on Melissa.
Right. So there's always a Melissa book and she never lets them down. So keep writing. That is the next, and publishing, not just writing but publishing. Like your fans will drop off if you're not publishing
Hmm.
on at least a yearly basis because they are used to traditional market publishing, which this show is not indie only, but we are both predominantly indie, so it's we do tend to think that way. But if you go to a traditional, if you go that route, which is where you have a publisher who takes your book on and everything, usually their release schedule is like a year. Once a year, your books will come out. So don't take what we're saying as like, oh my gosh, my book won't be out. Like I can't make them come out sooner. That's
Yeah.
okay. It's sort of like the writing thing, the step before this one, where readers just need to know it's regular.
Mhm.
And I will say that I know my readers do feel a bit of reassurance when they buy a book from a new author that's been published by a publisher, because often it's in their contract, the writer's contract, so they know they're going to get another book. I right readers have been burned by indies who they have who readers have loved,
Guilty.
but then not the author has not finished the series. So that has,
In my defense, it was an emergency heart surgery.
I think, and your fans have stuck with you. But
Yep.
I know I have like followed an author and I keep checking and checking, like maybe the follow thing isn't working because it's been so long. What happened? And
Yeah.
they've just decided that writing isn't for them, or they've moved to a different genre that's more uh, successful for them. So, um, yeah, try not to do that. But I mean, life happens and stuff's going
Yeah.
to happen. But, and I know my readers, like, well, I don't know. If I switched over to erotica, they wouldn't follow me
Right.
because my readers are deaf, but they'll read most any genre as so long as it's cleanish, mostly clean. So they would follow me. Most of them have read like my other pen name stuff, but if I so it's just a matter of they just want to read more of my books. It's weird. It's weird. Why do they want to read my books? But welcome to the world of the insecure artist, because almost all of us are, no matter how successful or whatever.
Yep.
It still boggles the mind that people will like love your stories. So, anyways, blah, blah, blah. Is there another step? Is there another step? There might not
Right.
be. I don't know.
Right. And be consistent. Oh my
Yep.
gosh, this guy across the street was on his house, but I thought it was a giant Halloween spider that nobody took down. Okay, anyway.
Okay then.
Yay, parking lots. Okay. Um,
People watching for the win.
wait, what?
Okay. I said people watching for the win.
I thought we had people watching. I was like,
Uh,
oh,
what is people watching? Okay.
okay, so
Do we have another step?
writing and making it consistent. I would also advise to start building your readership
Aha.
long before you ever launch your book.
Yes.
Like when you finally, even, even when you just start writing, um, this is how I ended up with one of my super fans. Even when you just start writing and you're not doing it to make a profit, maybe you're just posting on Wattpad or Dream or whatever, um, you're already building a readership, but make it a way where you can get them to subscribe to an email list or a group or something so that you can always communicate what's going on with them. Because building a readership is about building relationships.
Yeah. If you have like, I know a lot of people so totally built themselves on Instagram and they might have lots and lots of followers on there. But if you're planning on releasing a book, then start inviting your Instagram followers or Twitter followers or TikTok followers to sign up for a newsletter. Even if you don't immediately come out with a newsletter, please be collecting emails,
Yep.
because it is entirely possible that TikTok could go away tomorrow, or like we almost lost Twitter, that kind of thing. Like, and if that should happen, you have
You
you've
still have a way to
cultivated,
communicate with them.
yes, you've spent all this time and effort cultivating a following that can't follow you anymore and you can't find them. And I will note, this is one reason why a lot of authors are diversifying um, their distribution of their book instead of just staying at Amazon, like has been, a lot of us just stayed on Amazon, um, because Amazon doesn't tell us who's buying our books. So you could get a book review on one of your books on Amazon that is just like, "Oh my gosh, I love this author. I want to read every single word she writes. Can't wait ever." So you're like going, "Ah, I love you.
You're like,
Let's
how do
get
I hook you up with
married."
my next book?
Yes. And you can say, "Well, of course they're going to go to my website or whatever." A
Nope.
lot of people don't. And
That
if
doesn't even occur to them, you guys.
yeah, like they might be a person who literally just has a Kindle that doesn't go on the internet and they are just reading and buying books that way. And you have the best fan ever and they're lost to the ether
Yep.
because you cannot communicate directly with them. So it is that's why so many indie books, really all of them, should have a please subscribe to my newsletter at the end of every book. And if you haven't noticed that, then turn the next page as a reader, like read on to the next page where they invite you to sign up for their newsletter
Yeah.
because emails are the only the most reliable way to connect with your people. And there will come a day when you desperately wish you knew how to get in touch with that
Yeah.
amazing reviewer and you can't.
One thing. So I'm going back and talking about, oh, leave a review on Amazon in the book. The smart thing to do is to put it twice because it takes multiple times for people seeing something before they act on it. Um, so what you could do if you put a preview to your next book at the end of the book, you'll want to put that page about uh, leave a review, join my newsletter before they get to the little extra goodie at the end.
Yeah. And then again after the little goodie. Yeah, really, a reader might feel like you've done too much, but you kind of can't do too much. This is what we need to do. It's tricks of the trade,
Hmm.
it's sort of expected. It's what you need to do because, like Anne said, they might not notice a pitch at the start of the book, or they might think, I haven't even read the book yet.
Yeah.
And at the end of the book, they might be too busy trying to find your next book to notice that it's
Yeah.
the
And
thing
that's also
there.
where you give them the link to your next book. And
Right.
there's also, you can actually look up on Amazon. There is a specific, you're not on Amazon, on Google, you can look at this up. There's actually a specific link you can put in your ebook that will take them directly
Oh,
to the review page for your book on Amazon. And that's one of my favorite links.
wow. Well, you should do you know how to find it so I can put it in the comments?
Uh, yes, but I'd have to do it on my computer.
Let's see. Because I know about the
It,
universal book link, but I don't know about taking them direct
it's
to.
You could do Dave Chesson, Amazon review link, and it should bring something up.
Yeah.
But
The
basically,
name.
you add your ASIN at the end of the specific URL, and it takes it right to the
Okay.
review page of that book.
Coolio. Um, so the name that she just said, Dave Chesson, um, he is somebody that you are going to want to follow personally. So his oh my gosh, uh, darn it, um, uh, I'm
I can
having
send it to you later,
okay.
and
We'll
then you can
try to
post it
post
somewhere.
it. Yeah. So but I'll put the link to Kindlepreneur at least. So Kindlepreneur is Dave Chesson, that's the guy's name. And personally, he is the only site that I feel I must read and keep up on. There's just so many that it's hard. I mean, there's David Gahan and somebody else who I will later kick myself because I'm not remembering. But like there are amazing um, sites out there with author turned successful book coach people who are super helpful. But I really like Kindlepreneur. There's not much fluff, so I don't have to read tons of copy before he gets to the good stuff, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so I really like him. But all right, so we are out of time. Is there any last minute tips or tricks?
Once you write the book, you gotta run it through beta readers. Have a couple of different groups of beta readers so you can do it multiple times before you ever send it to an editor. And then after each editor, you clean it up. You have beta readers go through it again. Then you go and get it proofed. Hopefully your beta readers have gotten that, but it's also good to get proof someone who does it professionally. And one last pass with your beta readers, then you can put it out on sites like what's booksprout.co, and that's where you can invite people to read your advanced copy. That's another site that you should build your following on as you're building your newsletter, because then you've already got people ready to read and review for you when the book comes out.
And
Um,
we will talk more about marketing, and it's on our schedule
yeah,
to
that's
talk
just
more
part
about
of the
that.
book.
But Anne, like right away when we were talking about what we wanted to talk about, when we were trying to decide what we wanted to talk about this month, was like she wanted to talk about luck slash no luck, right?
Yeah,
Because it, I will say, I do believe there is a measure of luck. Have you released your book at a time when that genre, whatever, is in super demand? But again, market research, um, like there there might be some luck, but certainly I think there is some luck involved when you are querying agents
yeah.
because you can just have an agent who's in a bad mood. And I've like no agents who have admitted that. Like, sorry, I'm sorry. You could have written the best book on the planet and I just wasn't in the mood or whatever. So, cuz that's, you know, the human aspect. But these are all ways that we
It's going
could.
to help your luck come down and your
Yeah.
success come up.
What is that
You'll
quote?
already,
I
you
should have
already,
been
you already,
better. I
you
should have
already
been
be,
blah, blah.
you'll already be so much further ahead than other authors who aren't, preparing,
Yeah.
um, and you'll just find success easier.
Yeah. I need to find that quote about hard work versus luck. It's probably talent. I think the actual quote I'm thinking of is actually like oh, okay, Thomas Jefferson. Thank you, Thomas Jefferson. I'm a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it.
Yep.
And I would say as a martial artist, that like if you want to be the best at a thing, you have to work at it. And
Hmm.
you learn that on the mat without exception. And
Also, you will remove the word can't from your vocabulary.
yeah, so I put the that quote in the comments, and you know, stick it up or around, and just remember that if you've written a book and you've, you know, figuratively or literally bled and sweated and cried over that thing for the past couple months or several years, whatever, do you really just want to rely on luck
Nope.
to sell to, like, even if it's not about you selling books to make money, if it's about this treasure that you have created with your own blood, sweat and tears, do you really just want to throw it away into the ether that is self-publishing today, or even to agents, which are slush piles the size of some princess towers, you know? Um, no. So do these
Right.
things, and
Yep.
ye shall better more greatly.
Yeah.
That's why I am not quotable. Okay, next week we're just rehashing. It's our we got to come up with a good name, so please feel free to throw some names out there. But like it's our chat and sort of review what we've talked about, stuff that we felt we would have liked to have said more about or that we missed in the month. So we'll be talking about luck slash no luck, and fairy tales and mythology retellings and just whatever all we feel like talking about
Whatever
because
comes
that's
around.
what we do here. So thanks for joining us, everyone. And thank you, Anne, for bringing this topic to us because, and it's so, I'm getting all these like funny light things. I feel like I've got one of those filters on because, at least from my angle, right now, it looks like I have a little nose and a little, yeah, so cute. No makeup needed to achieve this look. It was a great topic for, you know, the week of St. Patrick's Day because you can sit in that field of clover and try to find yourself a four-leaf clover and
And
see
hope
if it
for
leads
leprechauns.
right. Or you can just with a few steps that you should enjoy anyway because you love what you're doing and you love the story you're telling. So why not make the very best of it and publish it to its best strength? That's what we're about here, Story Ninja Dojo. We're all about that black belt excellence, and we want all of
Yes,
you to
ma'am.
be that excellent. So it is time to
Oh,
dismiss you
well.
all, bow out. It's been
Yeah.
great chatting with you all. We'll see you next week. Goodbye. Ciao. All right.
I
I
was
am
going to say,
not
like,
out. I'm not out yet, just in case.
good
Bye,
day.
everybody.